This is DJ Ron G. It is 83 degrees outside. Straight up 10 o'clock. Juneteenth, 2023, celebrating in San Antonio, Texas. We did a lot of celebrating over the weekend. Oh, I'm telling you, I'm so tired and I'm burnt. Yes, I'm burnt out there in that sun. And Martha said, how do they put you out in the sun like that all the time? I said, I don't know. They just did. See, I got her cued in right now, so I hope she don't make no funny faces while I'm here. So this is Monday. It's the third Monday of the month with Martha Rice on with Complete in Him. And I'm waiting for it to switch over. There we go. Now it's switched over. Now I can walk on down here. And let me see. I want to make sure everything's okay and everything. Happy Juneteenth to you too, Cheryl. All right, we're going to walk on down here. So, I'm a one-man show.
You got to turn the screen, don't you?
What's that?
The screen already.
Oh, yeah. All right. Yeah. Martha want to see herself.
Oh, I'm telling you how to run your show.
There
right?
we go. That's okay.
That's typical me.
Yeah, no typical. I'm not going to say that.
That's typical me.
I'll get some women mad at me. My wife does the same thing. It's not typical. It's not even comical. It's just you. All right. Good morning, Martha. Good morning.
Good morning.
And how you doing this lovely morning?
I'm a little tired myself from Juneteenth weekend.
Were you out in the heat too?
No, I wasn't out in the heat. I don't. Outside elements don't flow with me. I don't mind the heat, but
yeah,
outside elements don't flow with me. So it's nice to be here today.
It's nice to have you on board today too. You just don't know. I'm just getting everything ready so I can see what's going on out here.
Okay.
Come on. There we go. I just want to make sure that.
Oh, did you get the questions and all the things you need for the show?
Yeah.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah, everything's working. I just want to make sure the volume working and all that good stuff.
Okay.
So, I got the questions. So, I'm not going to ask what you said. I'm going to let you bring it up.
So today, the purpose of the show today is I really want to talk about mental health, the importance of it, and I want to discuss and get some feedback on why people don't seek out to mental health specialists to get the help they need. And now, one of the things I want to define is mental health. And I also want to talk about the different types of, what does each component of mental health, what takes place, like what does a therapist do, psychologist? I want to be able to talk about the different components of that. So to educate people on what they do, but also talk about the meaning of mental health in a different way.
Well, can we back up a little bit about people? Can we just be specific? I want to be specific, y'all. Mainly, it's Black people don't go out and seek that help.
That's true.
It's mainly them, and
we needed the most
because we go through a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Since the pandemic, it's been a lot of shootings, for understanding, Blacks being shot, and people don't realize it just doesn't affect that immediate family.
Right.
It trickles down and affects a little bit of everybody.
It's systemic, yes.
Yeah, and and people don't realize that. They don't realize mental health when you start talking to somebody and you listen to them, they're hurt. They're hurt by just what they're saying. And I know you just want to jump in and say, let me tell you, here's my card. I mean, not like that, but I know that the stigma is out there that we could fix ourselves. We don't need any help. That's what I was looking for. We could fix ourselves.
And we suffer in silence.
Mm-hmm.
Because we feel, we are resilient. Don't get me wrong. We've been through a lot as a people. We've endured a lot. And not to say that I think everybody has their own set of struggles and challenges.
Yeah.
And I think that's what, when I think about mental health, I want to reframe it because a lot of times people freeze when they hear the word mental health because they mix it with crazy or some derogatory comment, right?
Yes.
Mental health is just taking care of your mind. I like to put it in that way.
Well,
To take care of your mind, because think about it, you take care of your body, you go to a doctor, right?
Yeah.
Why we're so afraid to go to seek some help in the mind.
Mm.
We should we seek out spiritual help,
Yeah.
physical health, but when it comes to mental health, we shy away.
I think the key word, the reason why we shy away, if health is fine, it's that mental,
It's the mental
that's
part,
right in
right?
front of us. As soon as you mention mental, back then, everybody think of mental institutions.
Right, exactly.
You're crazy.
Mhm.
You know, stay with him. He's special. And, you know, we tend to think that. So just the word by itself scare the heck out of people.
And I think we have to stop being afraid of that word. When I take off work, I say I need a mental health day.
Is that what you
When I
tell them?
take, yeah, when I sometimes I just need a mental health day, a day that I can just take the time out and get and close off the world and get my mind together. Because a lot of stimulus come to us every day. We fed a lot, and a lot coming in, a lot coming out. But sometimes we don't. How do we handle all of this information and process this
You're
stuff that
right.
we deal with? We're dealing with, not only that, we're dealing with people are hurting, people are grieving, people are dealing with anxiety. That's not crazy. That's just the brain is a huge component, and it think about it helps us function every day. It even moves our hands and feet and all of that. So you will want to keep that. You want to keep that healthy. You want to keep that healthy, right?
Yeah.
And so just to give you some information, like I think the important thing, you got to know who to seek and when it comes to mental health. Like there are psychiatrists. I'm gonna talk about the differences between them. We have psychiatrists out here, and they are medical doctors of the brain. That's why I call them. I'm simplifying. You can look up the technical words on the internet. I'm simplifying it for the layperson. And they are skilled at, they prescribe medication. So if you're dealing with maybe ADHD or depression, they know how to deal with the brain because they have the education and they know how the mechanics of the brain work in that framework. So they are the ones you go to when you're dealing with something where you need the chemistry of your brain to be corrected. And that often happens when sometimes you're exposed to a heavy amount of stress.
Yeah.
Or you're dealing with, and that's why you want to take care of your mental health, or you're not eating, you're not eating and sleeping, and a combination of heavy stress can bring on things like anxiety and depression, where you definitely need a medical view on to get you back in order. And that's what a psychiatrist mainly do. They do some counseling, sit down and talk to you and walk you through some talk therapy, as well as in combination of dealing with the medication, putting in correlation with the medication. They can prescribe medication.
Yeah.
And then you have the therapists and the counselors, right? And there is a little slight difference. They intertwine, but it depends on the education. You have marriage and family therapists. You have counselors. Some counselors, you could be a counselor and have a bachelor's degree, but you have limitations on who to treat.
Right.
Because you don't have a license, you can't sit for the licensure because you have to have a master's level degree for that. And so licensed counsel, you have licensed counselors. That's the difference between an ordinary counselor. Licensed counselors they are licensed to sit down and talk to you just like a therapist, but they cannot prescribe medication. So if they're seeing someone that needs to be seen with a psychiatrist, they do work in coordinate. They can coordinate together and do the treatment together. I think that when you are seeing a psychiatrist, I would definitely recommend you see a therapist in correlation with it, because
Yeah.
there's a life events that happen, like a death of a loved one. You need to walk through that in conjunction, maybe with the depressive symptoms that you may be experiencing. That can be complicated without the help of someone. Then they do have life coaches out here. Now, that's a different thing. You really life coaches are great if they know what they're doing, and I like to say they should get certified. And the reason why I say that, because you got people opening up. You don't have to be certified to be a life coach, but it helps. That's the danger. You don't have to be certified. And if you got life coaches out here that they're reaching for they making, I mean, they putting it out there. They doing classes, they doing this and that, but they out for the money. It's a lucrative business if you do it the way they do it. But the thing is that life coaching is a little different from counseling. It's most life coaches, well, all life coaches are not supposed to operate as a counselor, as a therapist. They're not supposed to operate as a therapist if they're a life coach, because they're not trained in that area.
Right.
Life coaching is more questions, whereas a therapist, they're talking you through. They have a treatment plan. Therapists have a treatment plan. Life coaches, they're questioning you, and they deal with the present. Whereas a therapist, they can go dig in your past and they can actually treat you properly and get you out. They can definitely get you out of the mode of your past while you're in the room, so you can go out and be in a state of good health. Whereas a life coach, if they're not properly trained, they take you back in your past. They may not be able to bring you out if they're not properly trained.
Whoa.
That's dealing with trauma and stuff like that. You really have to be careful. And you have to stay in the parameters of the scope of what your education allow you to have. So then you have consultants. That's a different thing. Consultants mostly, they give you advice on whether it's business or whatever. They give you advice on how to do something because they are the experts in it. And so those are the different nuances and different ones. So you got to know when to go to. And then even me, I'm a life coach, but I also have a master's in marriage and family therapy. And with that, I'm able to kind of go in, but I will not go beyond the scope of. I wouldn't operate as a licensure with a licensure. I don't have a license, and I chose not to get a license because I didn't want to be under the scope. I want to be able to talk about Jesus when I want to. I don't want to be under the scrutiny of I can't say certain things, but I will definitely, consider and also follow ethical code of conduct, which is to do no harm. And so if I see a client and I see kind of like maybe some bipolar tendencies or depression, I would definitely recommend them out. I wouldn't treat that like that because I'm operating as a life coach. I want to help you. I want the people who are stuck and they just need help in that area. Those are the individuals I want to help.
So when you said, I'm going back to when you said, I forget how you put it, but anyway, when you see somebody come in your office and you say, "Oh, I can't do nothing," I know you said in your head, not out loud. You say, "Oh, I don't know about this," but how do you recognize that in a timely manner that you need to see somebody else?
It's the training that I have. All life coaches don't have that training. Or if it's something that actually life coaches, if they do the certification, they do train you not to go in that area, when to back off, because you just really asking questions. But there are therapeutic ways of, like, I can go, somebody come in and I'm watching them and I'm hearing their story. And I may ask certain questions because I'm trained in counseling as well. So I may ask about how frequent how long have you been experiencing these symptoms? And what are the symptoms? based on the criteria that I've learned in school, and I do keep up with my education, I may say, okay, I see this person. So I may say, you know what, this is what I want you to do. Go see your physician and tell them your symptoms. Or I may say, let me recommend you to a psychologist, psychiatrist, or something like, just get tested. Things like that. That's out of my scope. So I don't want to do no harm is at the forefront all the time. It's to do no harm. It's not about, because I'm not be all, know all. I don't want to be that. Only one person is that, and that's Jesus Christ. I'm not all knowing, not claiming to be all knowing. Don't want to be like that. That's too much pressure. I do have extensive amount of education, but that's not my identity in this.
Yeah.
My goal is to help people. And that's at the forefront. Do no harm and help them. And how I do that, there's times I have to know when to pass the person. That's why I'm glad that I am on Joseph's team, because now I know I can call him and say, hey, I have a person over here I need you to see. It's hard to find that those referrals. And when you find good people that you trust to send your people to, that's a great thing.
Yeah. Last night, for instance, I was there at Legacy Park. There's this one lady, she came in, she said, can I ask you a question? I said, sure, go ahead. I was setting up and everything. She said, who's the headliner? And I told her who it was and everything. Are you sure? Yeah, I'm positive. I'm reading. Yeah, that's him. Is that him? I said, that's him. Can I go talk to him? Sure, go over and talk to him. She went over and talked to him. And then she came back and said, nobody want to talk to me. I don't know what's going on, everybody. I mean, she just went off. So I just let us go on by. I left it alone. And through the night, she was messing with people. They was telling her to back off. And at the end of the night, I'm breaking everything down. She's coming to talk to me. She came out of nowhere and said, look, you look at me when I'm talking to you. I said, oh, whoa.
Yeah.
Time out. I said, I am breaking things down. What do you want to talk about? And she was saying, well, I said, I don't have time for that. I said, excuse me, but I'm breaking things down right here. Well, who can I talk to? Well, your head went, your name went my mind. I said, no, I'm not going to do that. Because I think she's beyond that scope right
now.
Yeah,
she's beyond
she's
that.
She's beyond that scope. But she was very, very angry when nobody looked at her. Is that a symptom right there that y'all look out for? Things like that?
Yeah, we look at it quite a bit, yeah. That's one of the,
That's one of
that
them.
lets you know when something is off, and I think that, and that's one of the things that growing up, I know in my family dynamic, there was no counselor, therapist talk at all in the house. But when something was off, it was like, just beat the crap out of them and they'd be all right. It wasn't I call it denial. I don't think we want to see our family members in a certain way.
Right.
But you can tell something is not that's not normal behavior.
Mm-hmm.
But we may take them even to a pastor, and that pastors are great at helping when it comes to the word of God.
Yeah.
And some of them are not trained to do counseling, to do therapeutic work. And when you're not trained to do that, you really have to be careful. Because like, even when somebody come in the room with me, I'm faith-based with my practice. So, but I have to separate faith from what I'm seeing in front of me first.
Right.
Then I interject and intertwine the two together, because they very much, you are dealing with faith issues sometimes, but you have to deal with the issue first, because they can't see faith, because the issue is blocking that. So you trying to bring faith into an area where you have to deal with the issue at first.
Yeah, you're right about that. But like you said, in families, they know that. I knew this one family, and they swore up and down that their brother was just crazy and deranged. And I said, have you looked at his side of it? he may think y'all crazy and deranged. You know, I said, I never thought of it like that. You know, I'm not a psychiatrist or anything. I just have common sense. And common sense to me, y'all gang up on him. What does he see y'all at?
Exactly, because sometimes you just don't. They, sometimes certain areas the brain don't function the same way my brain may function. But you kind of can see like, is that normal behavior?
Yeah.
And it's like, no, there's something is going on. Especially stressors. That's a huge thing. When people are under this tremendous amount of stress, you don't know how they may respond.
Right.
And you're looking at how they respond to different things, and it's a crowd for help. Some people they're very outgoing when they're around you, and all of a sudden you see them disappear.
Yeah.
And you're like, what happened? Where they at?
Yeah.
And you look for them, and they don't want to be bothered. That's a sign that they're going through something, but they don't want to deal with it or discuss it with anybody because they don't want to. Number one, are we treating them the same when they go through after they come out? Are we gonna back away because they're in a certain situation?
See, we look at that right now. We have to be careful nowadays, even honking the horn at somebody. When you talk about how they snap, and it's almost like they have the right to. I was at a stoplight one time, and the light turned green, and the person in front of the person wasn't moving. He honked the horn, and I rolled down my window being nosy, trying to see what it was going to happen. The guy rolled down the window, the light's green. The other guy rolled down the window. Can't you see I'm reading the text? Seriously? How do you know you read the text? The light is green, move. So people are more outspoken and more likely to do crazy things that they normally wouldn't do.
Yeah, because we're exposed to so many things that, and plus people are not. There's no type of wisdom from no wisdom from the Bible at all. It's no type of and when we were growing, as we were growing up, we respect our parents. There's no respect anymore in the household. So if you're not getting it in the household, you're not gonna get it in the street. And people are just prone to they stay in survival mode.
I go back to 1983.
Oh Lord!
And you're gonna ask me why I'm going back to 1983. The reason why I'm going back, I'm looking right at y'all. 1983. That's when the first cell phone was sold to the public by Motorola.
The big old phone.
Yeah, and look where we're at right now. That cell phone done turned around. This right here. Remember a time when you can remember everybody's phone number?
Yep.
You didn't have to worry about it. You do it off. You know everybody's phone number. Now you don't because you have this right here
to do it for you.
Do it for you. And I remember when Facebook went down several months ago for almost 6 hours. People went berserk. Wait, Facebook is down. What I'm going to do? Try picking up a book and reading it. Try something you normally don't do that you're supposed to do. Board games. Where have board games went? We used to sit down as a family and play board games. We were a family together.
And we don't sit down as a family anymore. Nobody is sitting down as a family. And if they are, what are they on their phones? And nobody is talking anymore. We are more isolated. But when you see people, when you see us walking down the street, it don't look like it.
Yeah.
But we are isolated within. And COVID didn't make it any better.
Oh.
We are so
COVID
isolated.
Opened up a whole new can of worms.
Yes. And so we're isolated, and the more isolated you feel, the more stress and anxiety comes up.
But then a lot of people don't think that
because we're not created to be isolated. God created us to be relational. But the very thing that he created us to be, which is relational, is the very thing we have the most difficulty in.
COVID answered that call because everybody stayed inside. The kids didn't go to school. Even though they were on Zoom learning, it's a difference.
It's a difference.
Interacting.
It's a difference.
And you know, and that is, whoa,
it's a difference. It's almost scary because it's comfortable. And that's scary because it's like, oh, I don't have to deal with people.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not gonna lie. I'm one of them. But like when we had to go from the office to home, it was like, cool. You know, and it's not that I didn't want to deal with people at first. It was tough because I'm an extrovert. People give me energy.
Right.
And so that was a little tough for me at first because it was like I felt so alone, you know. But at the same time, sometimes it feels that's the danger when being alone feels safe. That's dangerous, and people don't see the alert signs.
You got a point there because when you were at home doing your Zoom meeting, it's an hour. You got off. You look around. Your coworker's not there. You're alone. No birthday parties and all the stuff, luncheons, and you didn't have all that.
And then you wasn't in church. Churches, community.
Right.
Churches, community. I kid you not. After COVID, it was hard for me to go back to church, physical church. I got comfortable watching it on TV. Got a variety of pastors I can watch on TV.
Yeah, you can watch them all.
But you lose in accountability. You're losing community. You losing connection. That is so important. It even goes against the word of God. And I'm not saying that you have to go to church to be saved. No, that's not what I'm saying. Yeah. I'm saying that he said, don't forsake the gathering of ourselves together. He created us to be relational. And being isolated that's not what he designed us to do. And he designed us to be able to go to a doctor when we feeling ill, to go see a mental health specialist when we feel off. You can tell when you feeling off.
Yes.
There's symptoms in your body. Extreme fatigue is a sign that if you had enough rest and you still fatigued, you might want to check it out and kind of, you want to assess it. If you're feeling anxious, extremely anxious, where you feel foggy in your brain and you're not able to concentrate, you need to check those things out. You feeling sad, you gotta assess yourself and find out what's going on with me. Who do I need to talk to? If it's biblical, you're struggling with biblical questions, go to your pastor and ask. We don't do that because we're afraid we're gonna be judged. I'm not gonna lie. It's not easy. It's very uncomfortable going for help. I'm not gonna lie and sit here and say it's not, because I struggle, but I do it. And when I do it, I'm sitting in the counselor office. I kid you not. I am extremely uncomfortable. But I'm glad because now I know how my clients feel when they sit with me.
You said a point where people go up there and they talk. They're scared to open up. That's one of the reasons they don't want to open up, because they have a trust issue. You said it, because is this person gonna go back out and use this against me later on?
Right.
I think like that. I'm sorry, but that's how I think, because I done seen a lot of stuff that I tell somebody, and when they get mad, they bring it up. I said, I told you that in confidence. and now you're gonna bring up, well, you could. I ain't talking to you anymore.
And it's funny because we tell people who are not trained to keep confidential stuff.
Yeah.
They're not trained to do that, but we expect them to do it.
Exactly.
And so I'm curious to see if anybody have any comments about why people don't seek out help.
I have right here from Charlotte. Sometimes I suffer in silence, not realizing until you brought it up.
Oh, wow. Yeah, it is easy it feels like it's easy to do it that way. Oh, I could take care of this on my own. But sometimes, guess what? I've been in situations where I've thought about, oh my God, I'm really not feeling myself.
Yeah.
And I wanted to just go by myself and process, right?
Yeah.
When I couldn't get answers.
Right.
I said, now who do I need to go to? If it's biblical, I go to a pastor. If it's mental, I go to a counselor.
Well, here's one for you right here. I grew up always hearing people saying Black people don't go to psychiatrists. We just talked about that. And there's a stigma about going to psychiatrists among Blacks. And it is. We just discussed that. It's a stigma like, we're not crazy. And that's the first thing coming to our head. You go to a psychiatrist, they think you're crazy.
I would say don't, I mean, go, I would say seek out, if you're dealing with high levels of stress and you have a physician, you may can get some referrals from your physician. But if you really have some stress issues, some high levels of stress, go reach out to a counselor, a licensed counselor. That's really I would definitely suggest that. If you are stuck in a pattern of a situation or relational stuff, like you may want to make a decision on I'll take something simple. Do I take this job or this job?
Mm-hmm.
And you're struggling. And then you want to go see a life coach, go see a life coach. If you struggling and you want answers about a relationship, go see a life coach. If you struggling in areas, if the life coach should be able to know when to pass you off to a counselor.
Yeah.
These are areas where you stuck, where you just can't get the answer. Sometimes you do get stuck, but the questions pull you out.
Mm-hmm.
The questions I ask usually pull the person out of being stuck to moving forward.
There's another stigma of going to psychiatrists. Going there is the cost.
The cost.
Cost. People say, I can't pay that for that. And they self-medicate themselves. Say, oh no, they're gonna give me this and give me that, and it's true. Because sometimes that cost is a little overbearing.
Yeah, and I think that usually jobs, if sometimes your employer will have ERP.
Mm-hmm.
So you can actually check and see, because you get 3 sessions free, and they refer you to a therapist. They do have, even like companies are even having like coaches come, they got a pool of coaches that they hire to talk to you, to help you get through the day. I know when I was, I had a company I worked for, what I did was, when I used to sit down and do my one-on-ones as a manager, I would say, okay, I would talk to them. I want to know what stresses do you have at home? Are you dealing with anything at home? Because that's gonna impinge upon your job.
Right.
That was important to me to know what was happening at home, what's happening in the context of what you're dealing with. Because that's, if I can get you comfortable and ease the anxiety in that area, you're gonna perform better at your job. So companies are seeking out help in the mental health field to help people, but I kid you not, I've seen companies drop the program because no one is using it, and it's free.
And probably half of me to you. Just kidding.
And it's free because seriously, think about it. In the workplace, it's stressful.
Mm-hmm.
But they'll put I know at a company I used to work for, they had a doctor on staff. Where if you was not feeling well, you go up and see them, and then you can go back to work or go home, or whatever. They had a little doctor on staff.
I've seen
and people use that, but nobody use any services when it comes to the mental health part. So these companies are like paying for this, and no one is using it, so they dropped it. Why pay for something that's not going to be utilized? Now, there are sliding scales that mental health uses, sliding scales for certain people who can't afford to come. But it is hard lately for people to get appointments.
Oh,
that's another one.
Yeah, you got that right.
Where and that's horrible, where they can't get an appointment to go see a therapist because either it's not enough.
Yeah.
That's a problem. And because their schedules are booked for months and months. and you need immediate help. That's a problem. I think is problems on both ends of the spectrum.
Yeah.
Um,
You're
so
right about even going to a regular doctor is 2 months down the road.
it is bad lately.
Yeah, it's just
Mhm.
out there, and people know what to do. Why didn't you see a doctor right now? Well, if it's emergency, go to the emergency room. And then they sit in the emergency room because you know how to go in the emergency room. They classify what your emergency is. You may be there all day before they see you.
It just makes it hard. I'm not gonna even
Yeah.
I'm not gonna justify that it doesn't make it hard, but you gotta fight for your mental health.
Yeah.
You really do. You have to fight for your health, period. Health,
Mhm.
period. You have to fight for it because it's not easy. And that's why, like, when it comes to like suffering in silence is the worst thing anyone can do.
Yes.
I had to learn that myself. I used to suffer in silence. If we would have gotten some help with certain things like divorce, when our parents were divorced, when they was going through a divorce, that was hard on us. I mean, really, literally, like all of us had a different way of we dealt with it. I had no way to process those emotions. Nobody to talk to. It was a covert way of saying this is not to be talked about. And what I did was I ate my emotions. And I used to have candy bars under the pillow when I was stressed out, eating my candy bars. I'm being very, 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 very transparent right now. I don't mind being transparent about it, but
yeah,
because it's really serious. This serious business because it affects me even to this day. When I'm under stress, I have to stop and say, wait a minute. Wait, stop. What's going on? Because I had to learn how to process emotions. So that was a struggle with my weight, with being overweight, was emotional eating. But if my mother would have sent me to a counselor process, this is the divorce, this is devastating. The stuff that was going through my mind as a child, I couldn't conceptualize that the right way. I needed help. And my siblings, I'm sure they needed help too, but we didn't go, we just dealt with it.
And that's
when the pain get extremely to the point that it's like unbearable, then we go seek out help. And then it's too late. We could have caught it.
Yeah, because when you said when divorce go along, it's like being a kid, what parent do I choose? Or did he or she do this to each other?
Am I gonna ever see
Why
it?
did they do that? You know, you be mad at one, and you know it's a lot.
It's a lot.
It's a lot that you
don't even know what to do with that.
Holiday season. Who are you gonna spend holiday season with? You know, even
it's
when you're grown, you have a choice of which one you're going with. If they're close in town somewhere, you go to one in the morning, one in the afternoon. That's piece of cake. But if they're in New York and you in San Antonio, and the other one's in Los Angeles.
It's complicated because guess what it's doing? It tears the relationship. Anytime, if you ever notice, a lot of stress comes from broken relationships.
Yeah.
Because there's no where's your support system? When you don't have a support system, a true support system is emotional support. If you don't have emotional support system, that's really complicated. If you can't go to someone and be transparent without losing your position, that's very hard.
So is it safe to say when that happens, and let's say it happens to a young lady who's 17 years old and that happens, before that happened, it was a happy life with everybody there, then they're devastated from that. Do they tend to go out and choose a boyfriend that's similar to their dad, or are they reluctant to get in a relationship because they say, oh, same thing gonna happen to me?
It can go either way. It could go a lot of ways. It depends on how they walk. What story did they walk away telling themselves when they was in the moment of dealing with that? Yeah. The story I walked away with was, number one, I was fearful that my dad I was never gonna see him again. That devastated me. I was like, oh my gosh, she put him out. I would never see him again. That was the scariest thing ever. But when I realized when he started coming around, he didn't miss a day. It was as if he wasn't gone. He came every day to see us. Yeah. But it was still it left me with a question mark of what is a relationship supposed to look like?
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Is divorce normal? It left with a lot of questions, unanswered questions. And then kids seem to blame themselves
Yes.
of what happened. Like if it wasn't for me, if I wasn't around, this wouldn't have happened. I don't. We kids become they're great scapegoats for some reason. They
Mhm.
love you so much they want to take the heat of it, and you have to be careful. And it affects the whole family.
Yeah.
And when it affects the whole family, you need to seek out help because, or it's especially when you don't have open conversations in your household where they healthy conversations. Some people have healthy conversations where they can have open conversations about things, but
Well,
not without the non-judgmental stance.
right. So one of the other thing I'm gonna bring up is when somebody's 17 years old, I came up on the number 17 now, and they want to talk to their parents why and what's going on. 9 times out of 10, the parents say it's complicated. You wouldn't understand.
Exactly.
And that's what they
And
need to talk to them so they can understand.
If they ask that question, they old enough to know the answer.
Yeah, if they old enough to say, well, what's going on?
Then you should be able to give them
an answer. Because don't wait till they're 26 years old and they're into off and on relationships that's affecting them. If the child comes to you and that child, 17 years old, come and ask you, why are y'all breaking up? Be honest with them. Let them. That's my opinion. Be honest with them.
Yeah,
let them
because
know.
think about if you ask the question and your question go unanswered, what do you think you're gonna do with that?
Assume
Or go ask somebody else
Mhm.
that's your age
that went through the similar
that
thing.
didn't know,
Hey,
don't know the answer.
Yeah. That's even worse.
Yeah, really, seriously.
Your assumption on top of assumption on top of assumption.
And you never really get to, and you don't feel comfortable. You start this, if I don't understand it, it's not good to ask the question.
Right.
So you go in school and you don't ask questions because you're afraid to ask. It sets you up for
Well,
failure.
I know Martha ain't afraid to ask questions, and I'm not either. I ask a
I
question.
know, because I'm about to ask about this 17-year-old you keep talking about. No,
Yeah, y'all. See, even
I ain't gonna go
talking,
there. I'm not gonna go there.
She analyzing me right now.
Life coaching is really private, so I'm not gonna go there with the 17-year-old you talking about right now.
Just 17. No. The reason why.
How old were you when?
The reason why I brought up 17 is when I was in high school, I had 3 of my friends' parents who divorced, and they were at 17.
Okay.
And they were didn't know what to say or do. One went into drugs, one went into eating, and the other one, I just think, I hate to say it, like he just went crazy. He didn't understand what was going on because nobody took the time to talk to him.
That's devastating. Divorce is devastating.
And until it was too late.
Yeah.
You know, you can't, if you're 17 and now 26, 9 years later, you want to talk. Okay, we could talk about it now. It's too late. The damage is done. You can't make up 9 years in 1 hour.
No, you can't.
You know
separation, divorce, all this is it need to be that need to be discussed.
Yeah, it's just like this one old man told me one time. You can't put 10 pounds of crap in a 5-pound bag.
No.
You know, you can't do that. I remember we were doing something one day and somebody suggested, well, why don't we do this right here? I said, okay, well, we could do it next week. I said, knows better than the time, it's present time right now. You brought it up, let's do it right now. They weren't prepared for me to say that. You know,
yeah.
Don't put off what you could do today. That's how I look at it.
Just go seek the help. If you're feeling stuck, go seek the help. Don't be afraid of, I would say, use your discernment and your knowledge, because you know when something don't feel right. You go, if you need to be evaluated for something, if you feel like, for ADHD or something like that, don't diagnose yourself. Go get the test from the psychiatrist. And the psychologist, I forgot to talk about, psychologist is more research bound.
Yes.
They actually go and they research disorders.
Mm-hmm.
And they go get, they do a lot of testing. A lot of assessments that we do come from them. Mm-hmm. Psychologists doing a lot of research. They put the research in so we can have the tools we need as well. but they also do some therapy as well. But if you feel like you need to go get a test done for something, go do the test. It's worth it. Trust your instincts though. You know, sometimes even when you go to medical doctors, they misdiagnose you. You know, wait a minute, my symptoms don't add up that way.
Yeah.
Why are you giving me this And you know when the medication don't work, that's your sign that you misdiagnose, is when the medication is not working in the way it should.
Yeah.
Then that means that diagnosis might not be right.
Just like, for instance, my middle child, my son, asthmatic real bad. I'm not gonna say the doctor name. I wish I could, but I'm not gonna say it. But I told her that he was having more problems. She would increase everything. He was jittery and all that. So I went and told her, it's not working. She turned around and told me, you don't know what an asthma attack is. So how can you tell me this and you don't know what it is? I said, you know what? Your services is no longer needed. And I dropped like a hot potato, went to another doctor, went cold turkey, took him off everything. He went from 7 medications to 2.
Wow.
And so sometimes
you got to use your instinct.
Yeah, you got to question.
You got to question.
And that's what I did. And he's functioning right now. He's doing everything great. Still asthmatic, but he knows his limits and everything. But being young, and I said, no. And that was so funny. I said, what'd you tell the doctor? I said, your services is no longer needed.
Yeah.
I said it right in front of her face and took my son. We left.
Because some people are not, that's unfortunate because we live in a world that everything is not perfect. You're going to get people that you're going to get any type of profession out for the money.
Yeah.
They looking for money only. And to make money, medications, you're going to get that. So you have to use your own, use your instincts. But they are, like I say, I tell people who come see me, if you don't feel comfortable with me, do not book another appointment. Go get some help from someone you're comfortable with, because if you're not comfortable with me, I can't help you, because that means you don't trust something. That don't mean that I'm not good at what I do. That means that we just don't work together, and that's okay.
What about the opposite? Somebody come to you that I can't work with this person.
I really don't. The only way I can is if it's out the scope of my ability.
You don't kick them to the curb?
No.
See, me, myself.
Or if it's out the scope of my abilities, I'm not doing it.
Well, I'm not. I tell you, what's Martin always say? You ain't got to go home, but you got to get the heck out my office.
I told you at the forefront is do no harm.
I know.
Yeah.
But sometimes when you're talking to people, your inner thoughts are telling you to say one thing. What comes out your mouth is different. Now, everybody listen to me, because sometimes you talk to somebody and they talking crazy to you and you want to talk crazy back to them, but your inner thought, which is God, telling you, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't stoop down to their level.
Now, you talking about like when you're in a conversation and you want to snap. That's different.
Okay.
When you want to snap and everybody got that. Shoot, you got to put that on. The Holy Spirit put mine on restraining order when I want to say something. But when it comes to people, when it comes to somebody that comes see me, they came because they need help, and that's at the forefront of my mind. How can I help them where they can walk out of here not perfect, because I'm not that miracle worker, but how can they walk out of here better than they came?
So it's safe to say your thought process when you talk to them, to get them to open up to you and talk to them, you want to get their thought process. Think before you do.
I want to get their thought process, and I want to get it. Sometimes you don't know quite how to verbalize it. So it may come out a little crazy. It may come out a little shaky. Like it may come out in a, I don't like using the word crazy because they're not crazy at all. I want, what they feeling is very real. I want to see how these combinations combine, because they're trying to verbalize something that's happening.
Yeah.
And it may be multiple streams of things, and they may, if you're not careful, you're on a rabbit trail. I'm not good at rabbit trails, so I pick out I'm looking for patterns. I'm looking for in the story. Why did they say that with that? how do these things interconnect? And that's when my questions start to come.
So basically, you're a good listener first.
You have to be a good
You
listener
have to listen
first.
to them,
Yeah,
what they're telling you,
have
because
to.
in between all that stuff lies what their true feelings is going on. When I was working at Sam's Club years ago, an irate customer came in and nobody could handle that customer. So they came and got me. Why me? I'm the wrong person here because I'm irate too. No, I'm just kidding. So I listened to that first person yell at me, cussed at me, did all that. But in between, they were telling me what was going on. So when it was all said and done, I said, basically, this is what you want. He said, yeah. I said, okay. And everybody looked, how do you figure that out? I said, you got to listen to the person. In order to be a great communicator,
You have to be.
you have to be a great listener.
Yes. Or
And
else you're just going to be, there's no relational function.
Exactly. Because in between, if you listen to them talk, they're telling you their story.
It's a story, yeah.
Yeah.
Like the 17-year-old you keep talking about.
17.
No.
She's not going to let me live this down.
It's always a story about people. You ask yourself, why did they say that?
Yeah.
I wasn't doing that.
Yes, she was. She was doing it.
But you always say, that's interesting.
Yeah.
You know, you pick out certain things just pop at you. But I always pray before my sessions because I really, that scripture is that say, without me, you could do nothing. That's major for me because it's true, because all my wisdom and knowledge come from him. Everything he gave me, everything comes from him. I own nothing. I just manage it.
There you go. That's a nice way of putting it.
And so he allowed me to open up a practice, but it's his. I have to run it the way he wants me to run. So I need to seek his wisdom on how to function. I'm degreed up, but that's not what I'm looking at.
Yeah.
But I kid you not, when I'm sitting with someone and we're in a rhythm of a conversation, sometimes it comes up.
Yeah.
It comes up like almost like fire in me that say, I need to pay attention to this.
Yeah.
Because there's something about this conversation that I need to pay attention to.
And you're right, because when me and Martha first started talking, I was saying something. She looked at me and said, Ron, you may not want to put it like that, but I was just talking out loud. A lot of us do that because when I know I got to walk into a conversation, the first thing I pray is, say, God, please give me the wisdom, and then don't let stupid roll off my lip. Because I'm brash. I tell everybody I'm brash.
Yeah.
But I learn how to tone it down when I'm talking, not to say certain things to offend people. Because sometimes you can use a word and you offend somebody, to them, like you think they're stupid. And that's how they project what you're saying. So you have to watch what you're saying to certain people, because I could talk to you. We got a good chemistry. I could talk to you, but I can't go to the next person and talk the same way I talk to you, because they say, man, what's wrong with Ron? Why you talk to me like that? What's wrong with him?
Yeah.
And
you know how you can joke with some people and you can't with others because they looking through their lenses, and their lenses might not be as clean as the next person's, or
I was gonna say
their
sharp.
lenses may be really, through the lenses of a traumatic event, and you may trigger them. You have to really, value relationships when you're in a relationship. You have to value the relationship, and you have to understand behind relationships, you're gonna have some people that are hurting. You're gonna have people from different walks of life, and everybody is not gonna be like you.
Yeah.
That's the thing. And God did not create us to be the same.
Nope.
We're unique for a reason.
Because if he did, we wouldn't need him. I hate to say that. We're all
and
the
we
same.
Need him.
And we need him
24/7.
Definitely.
Kid you not, the minute you think that you don't, you in trouble. I've done it. I've done it where I walked in an area of, I call it pride, and an area of where I walked in pride, but it was more of self-sufficiency. That's a dangerous place to be. I've been there where he gave me what I have,
Yeah.
and I have all I need and I'm self-sufficient in it, is a dangerous thing if you're not careful, because I was operating and, oh, I got this so I can do what I want to do, and was making terrible decisions, not leaning on the Lord like I have been. Um, it's not that I'm not intelligent. It's just that I value my relationship with the Lord to the point that I understand from the word of God who he is in my life.
Yeah.
And I'm not perfect, by no means not perfect. I'm subject to screw it up.
I don't know. According to husbands, they think all the wives are perfect because they always tell us what to do.
Not perfect by no means.
Yeah.
I'm subject to screw it up. But if I follow the word of God, it really does protect me.
Yeah.
It keeps me safe. The Bible is meant to put boundaries around us.
When you said that, I have a tendency of overpacking my bags when I go out and do live remotes and stuff. I have a tendency of doing that. Why, I don't know, but it was a blessing yesterday because I overpacked my bag and everything. You know, I brought it with me. And I turned around and I needed this one cord. I said, oh man, I left it at the house, my other bag. But I bought two. And one was packed in my other bag that I brought with me.
You like to be prepared.
Yeah. And
that's what that means.
And so I always look up in prayer. I say, God, please make sure I bring everything. My wife tell me I carry too much stuff, but you never know. You never know. And that came through, and I had it right there. I mean, what I'm trying to say
you want to make sure you don't, because if you could miss a major chord, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And it was for the wireless mics that we're using right now.
Yeah, you can miss some things.
Yeah.
And it
but
definitely changed the trajectory of your day.
But I made sure when I packed up last night, I made sure that I packed these up to go in the same bag that I was going to use today. So it was no ifs, ands, or buts about it today. So, you know, God has a tendency of let you waking up and, come on, Ron, you know better than that. Yeah, I do. I listen. what I tell you the other day? I listen. But when she gone, I'll say something when she gone.
But yeah, you just have to, like I said, I hope this particular interview helped with who to seek out when you need help. That's important.
Yes.
And don't suffer in silence. People who's listening, be attentive to what you see, offer suggestions. If you're dealing with stress, you know.
I'm going back to what Cheryl says. I'm going back to what Charlotte said. She said, sometimes I suffer in silence, not realizing until you brought it up. You know, I'm bringing that point up again because she put that on here. So
it is a lot of people do it.
Yeah.
You feel safe, but it's a pseudo safety.
Mm-hmm.
It's not really a safe
until you get outside
space.
That box and realize I need to talk to somebody.
Because most of the time what happens is when you suffer in silence, some people come out, but they're not healed.
Yeah.
You suppressed it. And your body will be okay with suppressing it, but you don't know what the outcome is when someone trigger you. You don't know what the response is going to be.
Yeah.
Because that's why it's good to process those emotions. We have learned to suppress emotions.
And we do it very well.
And we do it very well.
And
it makes us feel safe. It makes us feel heroic. It makes us feel like, okay, I'm good. Let's move on. You didn't move on. You just suppressed it. Then something else come, you go suppress that. Something else come, you go suppress that. You're a walking time bomb.
And then at night, let's say at midnight, all that stuff comes to being, and you sit down there crying on the help that you need. Why did I do this? And I hear a lot of people say, why me, God? Well, the moral of the story, that one guy was reaching out to God. I think you heard this story before. It was a flood.
Yeah.
and finally,
he sent
he died. Yeah, he sent people over there,
and he died.
And he died, and said, God, you said I sent you 2 boats and a helicopter. You know, it doesn't have to be, God is not going to say, okay, here you go.
Right.
You know, a lot of people think
Sometimes he
that's how it
sends
is.
people your way
Exactly.
to help you do what you need to do.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why you have to understand that, but you won't know it's help if you suppress it, because now by the time you suppress it, you're not even looking for it.
Yep.
So you wouldn't even know that it's coming or be receptive to receive it. But you have to process those. You really have to process. I wake up sometimes and I'm like, why am I in a bad mood? And I start to process what's going on. What's going on with me? Why am I feeling this way? I go to the Lord, talk to him. I want to know what's going on. Where am I being? What is it? Towards me?
Yeah.
Am I feeling defeated about something? Am I stressing about something? What's going on? What's going on with this day that's making me wake up like this?
Yeah.
And I want to know, but I also want to know when I'm stressed. I want to know if I'm hurting. If I'm hurting, I got to process that.
Yeah.
If I don't process it, I'm going to coach from a place of hurt.
Ooh, ouch. You don't want to do that.
Don't want to do that.
Don't want to do that.
Don't want to, I call it coaching below the line.
Ooh, I like that.
And that's a whole different thing. I talk about when I do Mondays with Martha and start to talk about how to address those, how to get where you above the line.
That sounds like our next topic for next month.
So
you gonna remember that?
Oh yeah.
Okay. All right, we got Martha Rice here with Complete in Him. I always tease her. I was gonna do a commercial and I was gonna say incomplete in Him. I said, boy, don't you do that. I tease Martha back and forth. So
oh yeah, I have to pray before I get on this show because I don't know what he gonna ask me.
Well, I behaved myself today.
So he did because he's tired. But thank you guys for listening. I hope that you guys reach out for help. We're in a time of we under extreme amount of stress, extreme amount of violence going on in the world, extreme amount of we're not feeling safe like we used to. We didn't feel safe back in the day, but we really are struggling with that now because ain't no telling where you're gonna be, and we're afraid to send our kids to school. We're afraid to do these things if we're not careful. But I'm always reminded in the word where it talks about these things will happen. Be of good cheer. That's a hard pill to swallow.
Yeah.
Because we're looking, we know this earth is not our, actual place that we're gonna be for the remainder. So we look forward to meeting Christ again. We look forward to that. So that's why I say be of good cheer. But we want to make sure that we definitely, try to be more supportive with our loved ones and listen carefully to what they're doing and what they have to say, because what they're saying is real. It's real, and they're not crazy. They just dealing with something that need to be addressed.
Amen to that. With that, until next month, Martha, thank you for coming on the show this morning.
Thanks for having me.
So, what do you think about the new setup right here?
Oh my God, this is like, it is very interesting. I like it. I like the museum. Especially for today, Juneteenth. It's really, I have like the colored waiting room. It's a museum, Black museum, right?
Yes.
Of Black history. So it's pretty nice. I walked in and I was like, okay, wow, I get to learn a little something today.
Except for Harriet and William.
Oh yeah, I walked in like, wait.
They're over there playing the organ.
The museum, they got mannequins look like they playing the organ, kind of threw me off. I'm like, okay, they having church right now? No.
Church every day.
But the setup is very interesting. It's nice though, but it's very, very nice. Very nice setup.
All right, Martha, we appreciate you being on board. And we'll get back with everything, catch everybody. So you're gonna get up and watch me walk away over here. Martha's still gonna sit here and look cute.
Oh no, I'm gonna get up
till I cut off the camera.
Till you get off the camera.
But I'm gonna let you know this Saturday at the Williams Historical National Museum. This is Freedom Month. Mr. Williams dedicated this Freedom Month, and he's doing barbecue plates every Saturday this month of June. And he's doing it this Saturday. I think this is the last Saturday of the month that he's doing it. So come on out and join us and have some barbecue starting at 11 o'clock in the morning and ending at 5. Sometimes we go past 5. We had a good crowd last time around, so we appreciate everybody coming on board. All right, this is DJ Ron G, along with Martha over there, and we will catch everybody tomorrow morning bright and early at 7 a.m.